thrilled to welcome the ultimate experts on starting your financial independence journey in your 50s, Jackie Cummings-Koski and Bill Yunt, host of the incredible podcast Catching Up to FI, which we will definitely talk about as a great resource along this journey if you are getting started and you want to catch up to financial independence. If you've ever wondered whether it's too late to pursue FIRE or felt discouraged about getting a later start, these are two people who are living examples that financial independence is absolutely achievable at any age, no matter when or where you're starting. I am no expert on the journey for someone who is in their 50s getting started and broke and trying to build wealth, but I have studied relentlessly the journey for someone in their 20s, and I've hypothesized here today how that journey can be translated to someone who's starting over, who's totally broke, maybe in a really tough situation at 50 years old, to try to maximize their wealth. And we're going to test that hypothesis and get the feedback from the pros here with Jackie and Bill on today's show. So welcome to Bigger Pockets Money, Jackie and Bill. So grateful to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having us, Scott. Glad to be here.
We are excited to get this story out there to the larger audience of late starters, the average American, the silent generation.
Absolutely. This is a presentation. I am no longer constructing board decks in my CEO job, so this is my outlet for it. Thank you for giving me a chance to keep this skill alive in my life here. I've created this persona. I called her Barb. I thought this is a really tough situation. What's one of the more extreme ends of the challenging situation that someone could find themselves in at age 50. And this is someone with literally $0 to their name. They're 50 years old. They have no assets. They also have no debt. This person may not feel like they have a very marketable skill set in the marketplace. Maybe they've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 25 years and is recently divorced. And that's why they're starting over with very little. This person is scared. This person is not a money expert. She worries that she will not be able to make money. She's not confident in how to invest money, and she doesn't even really know when or how to even begin getting started on this journey. But she is willing to reset, to really make a hard pivot and go after a financial goal and really commit to big changes in her life to maybe change what I imagine to be a pit of fear in the stomach around money and around impending traditional retirement age. So Jackie and Bill, how am I doing here? How representative is this of one of the more challenging situations for someone in their 50s?
Well, I think it's very representative of what we see working with late starters. She's 50. A lot of people in our community are late 30s, there's in the 40s or 50s, and we do have a lot of divorced people, or for other reasons they have restarted or needed to restart. I don't know, maybe they're an immigrant, maybe they went to some other big life change, or they were just lifing with kids, and they wake up and they say, oh my gosh, I'm way behind. And sometimes it's more in the head than reality, but you might have somebody in their late 30s that is just starting over. I think it's very representative. What do you think, Bill?
This is an avatar that is very common in our audience. My previous co-host, Becky Heptig, lived this journey. Her story, which is episode 2 on our show, she went from 0 to 1.3 million between 50 and 63, starting with zero debt and zero assets. It is entirely possible. So Barb exists. And for me, I started with a low net worth. Heck, I didn't even know what my net worth was at 50. I didn't pay attention to anything. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was spending first and saving last. A lot of late starters are similar to this, or they have a life-changing event like Barb has, should she have gotten divorced. And our audience is about 75% women, last check. And there's a lot of people in our Facebook community that are divorcees and trying to figure this out.
I'm glad that this is an accurate representation of the journey for a lot of folks. But I also want to call out that I believe that this would be a bottom, 5 or 10% in the community in the terms of net worth for someone in their 50s. Many people in the community will also start out with advantages that are past this, that are not broke, that have some amount of money, some amount of capital, and can move to later steps in the journey. So some of the very hardcore elements that I'm going to bring in there, because I think that's the reality of the situation. We have to go pretty hardcore, at least to jumpstart this journey in the first few years. Those can be skipped if you are one of the folks that maybe have the privilege of having maybe a 50 or a couple $100,000 in assets, which is around the 50th percentile for this cohort.
Scott, I think that's a really great point, because one of the advantages that a lot of late starters have is even though they might not have saved a lot, they have saved something. So many of them are not starting at zero. Maybe they just did the match, or maybe they just did a little something and they believe it's not much at all. But even if they got 50,000 or 100,000 or something, it's better than zero. So yeah, Barb has nothing, but I think the average person has a little something that they just realize is not enough, but that's a great starting point.
I have kind of the 6 themes that we're going to be talking about for this. Those are going to be acknowledging where we're at, both emotively and financially, staring our numbers down and looking at where we're at, understanding where we're at emotionally in our life journey. We're then going to set goals. We have a big goal of $1 million in 10 years, which is going to seem impossible at first, but we're going to get there with proximate goals that are much more achievable along the way and show how the achievement of those proximate goals will set the stage for explosive opportunities with a chance to really get ahead. And I believe that by the end of this video or podcast, depending on whether you're watching or listening, you will see how those opportunities can work in a compounding way for you. We're going to teach you to measure and track. You've got to, again, stare down reality and understand where you are today and track your progress across the journey. You can do that in a spreadsheet or a software tools today. And we're going to provide a specific detailed action plan. You can think of this as a financial plan, a version of a financial plan, a draft financial plan. At some point, you may want to talk to a certified financial planner. Jackie is a certified financial planner here with us today, but she is not your certified financial planner. So always know that that is a disclaimer we have there. I believe that Barb is going to have to use housing as an element in her journey. I do not believe she has an option but to use some kind of housing hack or turning her home into some income generation stream at some point in the journey. I believe it'll be very difficult for her to get to the $1 million mark without using that in combination with general best practices for saving and investing. And then we're going to talk about community and learning. It's really hard to do this journey on your own, especially if you feel like you're isolated or starting over. And there's resources out there that can, help you, encourage you in your ear while you're at the gym or driving to work or doing chores or whatever. And there are real people and real communities that are getting together in person or on the internet that can help turbocharge that journey. I want to just I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on your hip. I want to just put some things on the table here. Barb is probably not going to be retiring very early. We're not going to get rich overnight here, and it's going to feel very slow in the first couple of years. Magic of compounding works when you have a big asset base, and we don't have one here. We don't have a big income, and the magic of compounding on the income front is really challenging in the first couple of years as well for a lot of folks. I will say that the traditional and comfortable retirement at 65 and or $1 million at 60 is still achievable, but Barb is not going to be happy with her first job on this journey. She's going to temper expectations and eat some humble pie probably with her lifestyle as well as part of this journey and transition. And one of the first sacrifices I think Barb's going to have to make is going to be with her housing, whether or not she house hacks like we alluded to here. Barb is not going to be able to live in an expensive place and maybe not even live on her own if she wants to really get the ball rolling in that first year or two. This does not get a roommate forever, but I am going to actually suggest that for the first year or so to get the ball rolling, because getting that first bucket of cash accumulated is so critical on this journey. What do you think, guys? Am I being too extreme or unrealistic on this one?
You're being real tough.
You are being really tough, but that's the thing. We are in a situation where we have a $0 net worth and we're 50 years old. If we want to retire by traditional retirement age or by age 60, we're going to have to do some serious work. You can not take this path and work past 65, but what kind of life do you want to have and what kind of retirement do you want to have? And I think that Barb wants to retire by traditional retirement age, retire within 10 years, and that's going to take a lot of work. And there's no getting around that.
One of the big important things here is that Barb has already done something right. And that's to acknowledge that there's a problem and she wants to do something different. Like, that is a big mindset shift that some people never reach their entire lives. So kudos for that. And I'm sure she's already beaten herself up and all those things, but she is on the right track to say, hey, I need to do something different. I'm committed to this. What do I do? And this is a tough conversation. There's no way around it.
This is a base case. It gets better from here. We have different starting points. Waking up, for me, I woke up at 50. I was a spender, not a saver. I didn't get it on the front end. And we have to flip that around. You have to become a saver first. And that takes a lot of work. And that's what we're going to do here today.
I love that you said acknowledge, Jackie, because that's the first step that I have here is just acknowledging where we're at. And I think it starts with emotions that one has. And I think emotions are a major driver of finance. Like most people get the basic concepts that I got to spend less than I earn, I got to increase my income, and I got to invest if I want to build wealth. Those are not hard basics. Those basics are we're going to apply here, hopefully reasonably creatively. But you can't even get started if you're afraid